I am a Panasonic performer. I play several instruments at the same time as I tell stories. When I was 15, I saw Ken Woodenard, he's a drummer from New York, playing drums and accompanying himself on a keyboard, playing a slap bass sound. That experience was totally, mesmerizing. So many years later, I was living in London, in the UK, and I figured I want to have a go at this. I want to know if I could do it. I do it a little differently. I use a bass pedal board for my left foot, and sometimes I use a melodica for my right hand, and my vocals are mainly spoken word, like 4 parts: harmony, bass line, drumming, and speech. And I'm playing the setup, several instruments, and I'm telling a story, and I've got a screen that I use to project visuals like comic style drawings that complement the story. So in a way it's a multimedia show.
For breaks we will go down for coffee and pastrami sandwich with coleslaw. I worked as a cheesemonger before, so he hired me to make sandwiches. And we laughed. We were honest. The product was Krasovich is crashing at my place, running urban smoke management from his laptop. We did the official circuit of weird projects. When the concert finished, I had a standing ovation. You bet, buddy. But right after the first curtain call, I had to disappear real quick. You gotta realize this is what's gonna make customers come back to your restaurant. The Glenn Gould of the dessert concoctions.
The stories are about what I call urban life, and that means things that we do in a city. Going to a coffee shop or working in a coffee shop, putting a show together, playing a gig, or about creative things such as writing a book or going to a poetry night. Or some of the characters may be a sculptor. That I find worth it talking about because they are interesting and funny or humorous or complex at the same time, more often than not on true facts. Of course, sometimes you change certain things for the sake of making a story more interesting, jazz or funk or fusion. Usually I use a couple of players, a baritone saxophone and trumpet, sometimes marimba too. It's either written arrangements that usually sort of punctuate the story. There's also improvised solos. Different media, sometimes black and white, sometimes I color, computer colored, sometimes there are inserted different media within the cartoon, so I may insert photos. It is that they complement the text that I'm talking, the story that I'm telling, and they give either details that I do not mention. So as I tell the story, the drawings change and they're sort of synchronized with the text. I was born in Argentina, and I lived there until I was 24, and then I went to Berkeley. When I was in Argentina, I was a drummer, jazz, rock, and then I was into orchestral percussion, and then in my early 20s I was into jazz vibraphone, and there I studied the classical piano with a teacher at Boston Conservatory, and film music and traditional composition at Berkeley, and jazz. After that I moved to England, and I did my master's there in film music, and I've always been interested in many things about music and beyond music. That's why what I do is a compilation or a combination. You may say something in a way, or pull away from the microphone, or create a character, or use a certain kind of voice, or even just make a gesture that contributes a lot to the delivery. I figured, well, maybe if we use visuals and a story and some performative aspect, the audience can feel more at home. But sometimes you have people who are totally not into music at all, or they are not, into jazz, but they dig the idea that, you're talking about something they can relate to.
I had taken my armadillo pet for a walk by the harbor front, and I get this phone call from Munsovich. He sounded all excited, and he mentions he had just gotten this great idea. Brilliant idea. We gotta get together immediately, he says. Now, half an hour later, we're having a hot chocolate with cinnamon rolls as we discuss the project.